If it can't do that, friend, then it has nothing to do with salvation. It has everything to do with whether you're going to obey God or not, but it has nothing to do with salvation. He has everything to do with salvation. It's Christ and Christ alone. All right. Lest anyone, and here's the problem, if you don't enter into God's rest the way that God declared that you must enter, you know what happens to you? You will always fall short according to the same example of disobedience. What does that mean? That means Cain brought an offering. Cain brought an offering to the right God. Cain brought an offering at the right time. Cain bowed himself down and gave it to the Most High God. But what did he bring? Did he bring what God commanded him to bring? No, he brought the works of his hands. So it doesn't matter if you're going to the right church. It doesn't matter if you're reading the right scriptures. It doesn't matter that you're doing it the right way. What matters? What matters? The Lamb. The Lamb. What didn't Cain bring? There was only one thing, friend, Cain messed up on. His behavior was right. His posture was right. Everything about what Cain did was right, except one thing. What? He didn't bring the lamb. He didn't bring the lamb. And what did God do? He rejected it. His beautiful presentation, his flowery speech, his awesome prayer, his praise and his worship. What did God do with all of that? He flat out rejected it. Why? Because there's no substitution for the lamb. All of that other stuff is byproducts. It's either a byproduct of this person right here, or it's a byproduct of this person right here. It's not the real thing, it's a byproduct. The nature of this one produces works without Christ. The nature of this one produces works by Christ. That's the difference, friends. Which one do you really have? You know whether right now, whether you're thinking that your obedience is what got you saved and what's keeping you safe. If that's the way you're thinking about salvation, friend, you might want to examine yourself. Please. If you are hinging on anything you do or did in the past or will do in the future and say you're going to get to heaven and have a new birth, not according to the book. And I don't hate to be the bearer of this bad news. No, friend, I want you to know the truth. So I'm telling it to you with a smile on my face, joy in my heart. Why? Because I am presenting you the Lamb. That's why. God says it is an example of what? Disobedience. What's an example of disobedience? Working to get to heaven. Cain. And everybody just like him. religion. Look, folks, God gave the Israelites the tabernacle to approach him. He gave them the sacrifices, and they flat out rejected it. Not all of them. There was a remnant that didn't. But for the majority, they wanted to keep some set of rules. I don't do this. I don't do that. I don't go here. I don't go there. I don't participate with people who does this and that. And you know how many unbelievers don't do that mess? Probably more than believers. Why? Because there's a ton of, a heck of a lot more unbelievers in the world than believers. How many unbelievers don't drink alcohol? A lot of them. How many unbelievers don't commit adultery? A lot of them. Don't commit fornication? A lot of them. Go to church? A lot of them. Really, really religious? A lot of them. Read the Bible? A lot of them. So what in the world does that have to do with salvation? Nothing. It's an example of what God called disobedience. Remember Proverbs chapter 15 that I read to you? Where God says their sacrifice. What sacrifice? The vegetables that they're trying to give God in place of the lamb. He says their sacrifice is an abomination to me. Their praise and worship is an abomination to me. Why? Because you're trying to get to me a different way than I said. So I ain't accepting that mess. Not going to happen. And it doesn't make a difference how loud you make the praise. How many lights you have flashing in the background. How many techno fire stuff you have coming out and what smoke and all that mess. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how many times people fall out on the floor, which is utterly ridiculous. Doesn't matter. None of that mess has anything to do with the correct sacrifice. The only acceptable sacrifice before the living God. He says it's an example of disobedience. What does he do with that? For the word, there you have it. What does God use to separate this mess, the working for salvation? What is it that he do? He uses his word to separate the two. What does the word say? The word says, I'm the only door. The word says, I'm the only one who is acceptable to God. That's what the word said. The word of God. It is alive. It is powerful. It is sharper than any two-edged sword. What does God do with that two-edged sword? It pierces. It pierces? Yes. God is cutting through the externality of the religious folks.